The International Center of Worcester. Boy, what a great resource that we have right here in the city. Royce Anderson, who's the executive director with us, thank you so much for coming by tonight.
My pleasure, thank you.
Appreciate it. Farouz, thank you so much for being with us, and Ahmed, you as well. Now, Royce, this is just a couple of folks who have come over from Egypt, who are part of a group that you have brought over. How many altogether?
There's 3 of them here now. There was actually a 4th person, and they were all scheduled to come in February and March, but due to the events that we've all been watching over there on the TV, that had to be delayed until now. So 3 of them have come, and 2 of them are sitting with us right now.
Yeah, very interesting. Now, what is the mission of the International Center of Worcester?
Well, the International Center of Worcester, our key word is citizen diplomacy, which is basically having citizens of the United States meeting citizens from other countries. And we do this more specifically by having international professional training programs. And this particular one is sponsored by USAID, which is a U.S. Agency for International Development. And they've sponsored this group and quite a few others in different locations around the country to come here to meet with people similar to those who are in their own organizations.
Yeah. Now, Ahmed, when you came here to the U.S. with this group, what was it that made you want to join this group and come over here? What was it that you were looking to learn or to be a part of?
Okay, this is my first time to the U.S. So and I joined this program because I'm in need for to know about the American experience in managing the nonprofit organizations, which I think is a leading example of management in this field. So I joined this program for gaining some experiences in the field of management, volunteering management, monitoring and evaluation in the U.S. in the field of nonprofit organization. So
now, and Royce just referenced it a moment ago. A lot of upheaval recently in Egypt that caught the world's attention.
Yeah.
Has that impacted the way that that you're able to do business in Egypt, or have there been any differences over the last couple of months?
Yep, there are a lot of different. There is big difference now from the past regime. Now we are free. We can do everything. So, for example, my NGO, if I wanted to arrange for a meeting or a seminar or anything like that, during the past regime, I have to alert to the security police. So now we can do our programs very easily. There are no problems. Also, the parties are so easily. You can declare a party or. So it is now easily from.
So there is more freedom.
Yep.
Now
it is
over the last couple months.
Yep.
Isn't that something? Farouz, when you came here to the U.S. over the last couple, you've been here about 2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks. First impressions and sort of what you maybe have learned that you will take back home to Egypt.
The first impression is that maybe almost all things here in the United States is related to systems. There is a sort of system for everything. For example, when I visited many of the non-governmental organizations here, there is a integrated managerial system. There is several steps for everything. Maybe we miss this in Egypt. There is not we are not as this level of integration in the system. Not only within the not only within the organization itself, but the relationship between the organization and the city, the relationship between the organization and the university. There is a complete system which there is a cooperation between several organizations to reach a certain target. So I have the hope that when I return Egypt, I will try to do something like that.
Isn't that interesting, Royce? Because, of course, I mean, here it sounds pretty good. Hey, we're doing all right. And yet, oftentimes, we'll have on guests who talk about the fact that we should have more integration, that that there should be more that is going on between whether it's the College of Clark University and what's going on in the city, that there should be more ways in which there's interaction.
Well, I think one thing that happens in the United States, and this is something we always show people who come here, is that there is this, and it's kind of an informal network. It's not a dictated, it's not a pre-organized relationship, but the local municipal government, for example, and the local universities and the local nonprofit organizations all kind of fit together in this net, as Fayrouz was mentioning.
Yeah.
And this is part of the development of civil society, and it's something that you know, we try as much to encourage around the world.
Fayrouz, what are some of the, I mean, you know, maybe cultural differences? I mean, are there things that you see here that it would be difficult to translate or bring back to Egypt just because, I mean, there are simply differences in the culture?
Oh, of course, there is a space of similarity and space of differences. But what I am interested in, what I am concerned in, is to search in the similar, you know, the similar spaces, the spaces which we are similar in. And these spaces which we are different in, we have to learn how to respect each other. You know, I will not challenge the paradigm. Something will be different. Yani something, there will be differences, but we will not. I will not have. I don't have to challenge the paradigm. Only respect the area of differences and try to coordinate and try to copy or to improve the area of similarity.
Right.
You know,
it's interesting as I listened to Fayrouz and as we heard Royce speak earlier as well, the fact that, you know, that part of this too is coming and is learning about the different cultures. Preconceptions maybe about America before you arrived here, and have we lived up to it? Are we all walking around in cowboy hats, or are there differences that you have found from what you had thought?
Yeah, we have some, you know, stereotypes about the American society, but when I came here, I found that this is, you know, it is an open society, you know. It respects everything. The most, you know, wonderful thing I found here is the diversity that the American society enjoys. You know, they respect diversity. This is the most important thing I can come back to Egypt with. You know, here everyone respects the other. You know, you don't find that that, you know, anything that do not respect diversity. You know, I think this is the most important thing I learned from here. So
Yeah, and I mean, you know, and of course, I mean, I guess that is something that we would probably pride ourselves on here, but it certainly can get heated at times too, Royce. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, sure.
We'll talk much more about this straight ahead right here on the Hank Stolz Experience. Speaking with our visitors from the International Center of Worcester, which is located right here in Worcester, one of the real gems that we have here in the city. Fayrouz, and I think we had touched on this a little bit earlier, but of course we are all fascinated. I mean, Royce had said, of course, that your trip was delayed because of the upheaval that was happening. And this is really something, this movement that seems to have started in Egypt and it's now sweeping across North Africa and throughout the Mideast. What was it like for you? I mean, you know, we know what we see on the news or on CNN. You were there in the midst of it. What was it? I mean, was it terrifying? Was it thrilling, exhilarating?
Okay, I believe that this will be a new beginning for Egypt, because what happened in the revolution did not occur along the whole history of Egypt. You know, this is the first time in the whole history of Egypt, 7,000 years, that 15 millions of people go to the street and say no. 15 million is about 20% of the population of Egypt, which is a large number, you know, if you exclude the elderly people, you know. So this is a very large number, even did not occur in the history of many populations in the world. So it is something new in the history of Egypt and maybe in the history of the world. So we have a higher self-esteem in ourselves. We have a higher degree of hope, a higher degree of passion. You know, we feel something which is very, very important, that we can change. This is very important. So of course, we still have many challenges which are still present about the army, about the new system. It will be a true new system, and it will establish a new democracy, or just changing the names. These changes are true, but our feeling that we are strong, that we can change, that we have to integrate with each other and cooperate with each other. There is a very important view in the Liberation Square that all classes of the Egyptian people, all religions of the Egyptian people, all the liberal, the non-liberal, all become one person. So we feel that we can change, we feel that we can unite together, we feel that we can network, we feel that we can lobby. And this gives us the hope that we can overcome the true challenge that we are facing now.
Yeah, boy, still evolving. You know, it was interesting, 7,000-year history.
Yeah.
Have you found here, I asked you earlier about some stereotypes that there might have been from the Egyptian people to the Americans when they came here. Have you found that you've been able to maybe to bust up some stereotypes that we in America may have about the Egyptian people, some things that maybe we haven't understood?
Yeah, I found that diversity is the most important thing here in America, and I found that the Americans themselves have some sort of stereotypes about the Egyptian people. For example, you know, they ask us about the environment there, the way the democracy and everything, and they almost all the Americans do know only Cairo, you know, or Alexandria, big cities. I'm from Sinai, for example, and they you know, a few of them know Sinai, which is very important part of Egypt, and a very important part of the history of Egypt. So I think but I think the American society, you know, has a lot of things about Egypt. They know very well the pharaonic civilization, the history of Egypt. They know a lot about this.
Right.
Yeah.
But interesting is if you judge the entire United States just on New York City, or that was the totality of it. Yeah, very interesting. Royce, because we have just 30 seconds left, quickly tell us a little bit more about the International Center in that 30 seconds, what you hope to accomplish by having people from, whether it's from Egypt or Russia or any of the other countries.
Well, I think doing shows like this is exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the word out to the world here, and certainly to the local Worcester population and community, what we do. You know, we're located on the Clark University campus, and that's one of the relationships that we talked about between universities and nonprofit organizations. You know, the more we can teach everybody about what's happening in the rest of the world and bringing people together across international boundaries, the better. So thank you.
Terrific. Well, thank you all for coming and being part of the Hank Stolz experience. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Right here on Charter TV 3.